Okay, and thus ends another horrible year of elk hunting. CherkyB failed elk hunter. Shortly after that clip I just played, we continued down into the forest, and it was a forest where about 60, maybe 90, probably 90% of the trees were dead, and they were falling all over the place. They were hanging up on each other like widowmakers. And the wind was just really, really blowing, and you could hear trees falling all around. We kept looking up and wondering, is the next one on our heads? And then we found a couple of hunters coming in the opposite direction we were going. And they said that they had been around to where we were heading to. They were coming from there. And they had been there a little while, and the wind had blown down two trees very, very close to them while they were there. And they said, it's just too dangerous to be in that part of the forest. We didn't listen, and we proceeded on, and it seemed like as we went around that ridge, it got windier and windier, despite us being fairly well into the forest. A forest of dead trees, mind you. Lodgepole pines, 50-foot lodgepole pines. And we heard a number of them falling. None of them fell right near us, but we eventually said, this is just crazy. This is too dangerous. These other guys had been there all morning and hadn't seen anything. Maybe we would, but we decided to just pack it in and call it a year. It was our fourth day of hunting. It was the fifth day of the season. It's only a 5-day season, but we hadn't hunted the fourth day because we always need to spend a day doing firewood stacking for the winter up at Jellystone. So we had to clear a number of big lodgepole pines that had fallen over and gotten hung up on other trees, and that was an exciting adventure, as it always is. And we chopped up, about six trees, but we hadn't gotten them split yet. We had a big giant pile of 2-foot sections of logs. So we went back to Jellystone and spent the afternoon, 3.5 hours running the log splitter, splitting up firewood. A massive amount of firewood. Should last a while. Unfortunately, about half of it was pretty green trees, which won't be burnable this season. But the other half was fine. And they already had some, so that should be good. So, that's the end. Thus ends another season of CherkyB failed elk hunter. I will, before I sign off, let me say, that little thermal imager that I bought, that I have a video on, because it's faked in some way, it's a refurb or something, it was useless. If you want to hunt in dense timber for elk in Colorado, this isn't for you, as far as I can tell. It just couldn't pick anything out. We sent a jimmer down to stand a couple 100 yards away, and it couldn't find him. It had a hard time. I was never able to see any animals. I saw a lot of deer in person. I never saw anything on the thermal tracker other than trees and rocks. And while I don't doubt that the beacon mode is good, better than not having a beacon mode, it just turned everything off. Everything I could see off, including, the hunters standing right next to me. It couldn't pick them up anymore either. From 10 feet away, it couldn't pick people up. So it's going back. I don't know whether this is a fake, it's a knockoff, it's some sort of, I don't know. I can't say whether the actual product, if you were to buy it new, would work. Whatever I got from Amazon that was not the product advertised definitely did not work. I thought I'd try it out just to see, since I'm sending it back. I have 30 days to send it back. I tried it out to decide whether I want to buy a real one when they come back in stock for next year. The answer is no. I'll skip it. Maybe when the third generation comes out, I'll give that a try. Okay. CherkyB failed elk hunter out.